Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news and notes mashup video today, starting with Anthony Joshua, who has teased that his next fight is coming soon. And the last couple of days he had put up a post, and here it is, saying that an announcement was coming soon. And I chose not to cover that because announcements about announcements get pretty boring, but he's put a little bit more meat on the bone in terms of the what next. So in a live video on social media via Instagram, he said, "When's the next fight? It's actually happening soon. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, the fight's happening soon, and I pray it's the rematch. I won't fight anybody outside of the top 10. And I think with the situation in Ukraine, Alexander Usyk there, maybe it's not going to be him next. Maybe there will be an interim fight, and that idea has got a lot of legs in the past week or 10 days. A lot of names being mentioned, and Joshua's put out a list. But I think the reality is, if he's going to prepare for a rematch with Alexander Usyk, it does make sense for it to be a southpaw. And one guy who's been angling for that is Otto, who thinks he's the most deserving. I'm not sure how he considers that he is, given that he really hasn't beaten anyone of note recently. But you do have guys like Wallin, who's coming off a recent win against Kamil Sokolowski. You also have names that Joshua has mentioned besides Wallin, like Luis Ortiz at the PBC. I'm not sure that happens just because of promotional issues. They're not going to farm Ortiz out. I think that's unlikely. But also at this point, Ortiz, who looked pretty sort of beatable and washed up in his last fight before getting a knockout out of almost nowhere against the run of play against Charles Martin. I'm not sure how much credit Joshua gets for beating him at this point. What is he? Allegedly 42, more like 48, 49. But maybe another option, and this is something that is something to consider, is Demsey McKean. So he's got rankings in a couple of different sanctioning bodies, and while Joshua says top 10, doesn't mean top 10 of a sanctioning body. That's something else to consider. So maybe Demsey McKean, who's in the Matchroom stable, he just had his first fight in the UK a couple of weeks back. That was against Bracamonte. So he could be a potential option. And if Wallin is asking for too much, well, they've got a guy in-house who's probably going to take less and will grab the opportunity. So, we'll have to see what happens. But top 10, well, we'll have to wait and see. The reality is, I think after the schooling that Joshua got in that last fight, where he was dominated largely across the fight, he's going to need a confidence builder, especially if he's going to revert to some sort of, go-to-war style, which he's talked about, that he wants to sort of throw away the finesse game, throw away the boxing, and get back to his original sort of aggressive style. And a guy in Demsey McKean, he's going to go in there and probably knock him out. That's no disrespect to McKean. He's got a certain level at this point, and I think that Joshua beats him right now. Otto Wallin, a trickier proposition potentially than McKean, but he's also very beatable as well. A lot of people talk up Otto Wallin and what he can do and how he can do it, but we really haven't seen many results in the ring to sort of back this up, especially given his recent outing against Kamil Sokolowski, where he looked pretty pedestrian. But that's not to say that he wouldn't be up and be more motivated and perform better in a fight with Joshua. Anyway, interesting nonetheless from Joshua. And also, I would just note as well, so this was the post where he had said announcement coming soon. There was another one where he's put up, note to self, I got to work harder. The WBA has also put up a post via its Instagram of him training with Luke Campbell, southpaw, obviously a lot smaller, but those sorts of things, probably working on a few technical elements. But also you've had Angel Fernandez posting this, and this is him. He's currently the head trainer for Anthony Joshua, at least at this point in time. A post on Instagram saying no response is a response, and it's a powerful one. And he's got his arm wrapped around Joshua in this one. And in the other one, he sort of seems to be consoling him. So make of that what you will. It's a little bit vague what it's really all about. I just kind of thought it was all a bit weird, but regardless. But there have been other names that have been mentioned for Joshua. He's mentioned Joyce, that he wouldn't be scared to face him. And Frank Warren has actually said out on social media, or in interviews, I should say, with TalkSport, we've made initial contact, but I don't think they'll go with it. If they want it, they can have it. I think Joe would knock him out. And given he will ultimately want to prepare for a fight with Usyk, does facing a guy who's orthodox make sense? But also Joyce is a very different style matchup as well, so it's a very tough fight. So if they're looking for a confidence builder, probably Joyce is not the one to go with. But moving on, so you've got Jared Anderson set to face Christian Hammer according to Bob Arum. So he's told reporters that Hammer versus Anderson is going to be added to the Tyson Fury versus Dillian White undercard, April the 23rd. We knew that Anderson was going to be on that card. It was just who was the opponent. And Anderson will be in the UK sparring with Tyson Fury in the build-up. Still in the United States as of this moment, but soon to head out to the UK. So what do I make of this fight? Well, Christian Hammer, I think at this point, he is a bit faded from his best years, but he's still tough and durable. And the thing that we've seen in more recent fights, and another example of it was just in his last one with Frank Sanchez, he's very negative these days. He turns up, he looks to survive, he doesn't really look to sort of do too much on the offensive end. And the trick here for Anderson, apart from this being just a resume builder, get the name recognition of Christian Hammer on your record, is how's he going to sort of crack that code, sort of break him open and, break him down and stop him? Because I think that's the more impressive thing at this point. Christian Hammer does have the ability to shell up and be very negative and go the distance. So I'm hoping to see Jared Anderson basically go in there, put it on him and stop him. For me, that would be a good statement and a good result from this fight. I think nonetheless he'll get some rounds out of it, but I do think it'll be on Anderson to really sort of put it on Hammer and try to really, against the wily veteran, show his wares and show us what he's really all about. Triller has had a press conference for an upcoming card. This is May the 14th, which is going to feature the return of Kubrat Pulev in the boxing ring. So not tried combat, which was his last fight, and that's not really boxing, but since his loss to Anthony Joshua, hasn't had a fully fledged boxing fight. He's going to be returning against Andrei Fedosov. You can see here Pulev at the press conference. His brother is also featuring on that card. His brother Tervel Pulev is facing Sergey Kovalev, and that Kovalev is moving up to cruiserweight. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Pulev is at with that fight with Fedosov. I mean, if he's got anything left, he should win. We shall see. Johnny Fisher has revealed that he is also, and he seems to be the latest in developing a line of UK British prospects who's got hand troubles, saying that he has a hand injury. Saying, update, after my last win, I've taken some time off to rest my hands after suffering what the doctors thought was some tendon and ligament damage in my right hand. After further scans, it has shown that I actually have a fracture, which will take slightly longer to heal. It looks like it has been broken for the last 2 fights, and I've always wanted to just push through the pain. After discussions with my management and my family, I realize I have to listen to my body and take time to heal. During that time, I'll be training in other areas, adding to my game, ready for the big return fight in the summer, with the Romford Bull Army out in full force. It won't be long, and it'll be time to rock and roll again. I'll be keeping you all updated on my progress as we build up to the next fight. I think smart move. If he's got an injury, he's young in his career at this point. He's still in his early 20s. We saw in that last fight against Gabriel Nguema, who didn't really do too much, but he was able to give Fisher some things to think about and make him look a bit ordinary at times and very raw. And of course, we know Fisher, with a limited amateur background, is quite raw. So I think take the time, heal, and if he is working on other things, I mean, there's no rush at this point. Make sure he's right, get him in there when he is ready, and hopefully we see a few new wrinkles to his game. But Johnny Fisher, all the best for the recovery. And one of his stablemates who's coming back from a shoulder injury. Solomon Dacres had fought Kamil Sokolowski in 2021, and he had injured his shoulder even prior to that, had been carrying an injury, still managed to beat Sokolowski. He had surgery recently, but posting, getting back and beyond this shape, recovering from shoulder surgery. I've had to grind through the pain patiently, but every day is better than the last. And rounding out this heavyweight news and notes mashup video, so the Heavyweight Factory has announced that the unbeaten Cuban prospect Lenier is the newest member to the team. They say future heavyweight champion of the world. And obviously here, Pero pictured with Evander Holyfield. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.